People love me. Back in LA, they didn't call me Kevin Hart. They called me Kevin Partay Hartay.
That was when you still had money.
Back in 2004, ABC tried to flip the Fresh Prince formula on its head with Kevin Hart's short-lived sitcom, The Big House. The show was about a spoiled Malibu rich kid forced to move in with his working-class relatives in Philadelphia after his dad goes to prison. On paper, it seemed like a clever twist with a decent cast. Faison Love played the tough but funny uncle. Yvette Nicole Brown appeared before her Community breakout. Kevin Hart himself was trying to prove he could anchor a sitcom. The reality was, the show only got 6 episodes before ABC pulled the plug. Critics called it too generic and audiences barely even noticed it. Instead of letting Kevin be his wild, fast-talking self, the writing forced him into a nervous fish-out-of-water role that never clicked. The whole thing felt like a diet version of Fresh Prince rather than its own show. Fans didn't hate it as much as they just didn't care. Even though it flopped, The Big House ended up being an important stepping stone. It showed Hollywood that Kevin wasn't built for the safe network sitcom mold and pushed him back towards stand-up and movies, where he eventually blew up into the global star we know today. The Big House remains a forgotten experiment, not a disaster, but one of those blink and you miss it shows that prove even legends have false starts. But let's zoom out for a second. The Big House isn't just about 6 episodes and a cancellation. Networks were scrambling to find the next big family comedy that could stand alongside juggernauts like Friends, Everybody Loves Raymond, and That 70s Show. The problem was the format itself was wearing thin. Younger audiences were craving edgier comedy like The Chappelle Show, or competition-based reality TV like American Idol. A friendly and safe ABC sitcom with Kevin Hart, who at that point wasn't a household name, was already swimming upstream before it even premiered. Critics couldn't stop comparing it to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, a show that had already set the gold standard for fish-out-of-water black sitcom stories. The odds were stacked against it from day one. Kevin Hart himself was still in the proving stage. He had popped up in films like Paper Soldiers and Scary Movie 3. He was starting to build a reputation as the fast-talking guy who could steal a scene. But leading a sitcom requires a different muscle. You have to carry not just the jokes but the heart of the show. The writing didn't give him much room to shine. It boxed him into a role that didn't fit his style, like trying to put a hurricane in a shoebox. When you rewatch clips now, you can see the potential bubbling but never fully unleashed. This makes The Big House fascinating in hindsight. It feels like an early sketch of a superstar before they found their true voice. Faison Love was no slouch either. This is the same guy who had scene-stealing roles in Friday, Elf, and countless stand-up specials. He brought big, commanding energy as Uncle Clarence, the working-class anchor to Kevin's spoiled antics. You can see how ABC thought the chemistry might work. The clash of personalities had potential, but the scripts leaned too hard on stereotypes and not enough on fresh humor. The cast was stuck delivering punchlines that didn't land. Yvette Nicole Brown was still years away from Community fame. In The Big House, she had flashes of the wit and timing that would later make her a fan favorite. Like the rest of the cast, she was limited by the material, which played things too safe and too formulaic. In sitcoms, safety usually equals forgettable, especially in an era where audiences were drifting towards sharper, more daring comedy. Now let's talk about ABC's decision-making. The network had a long history of pulling the plug too quickly on black-led sitcoms or shows that didn't fit neatly into their family-friendly image. The Big House was no exception. They aired it, gave it barely any promotion, and then yanked it after 6 episodes. It felt like they were testing the waters but never really believed in it. That lack of commitment is a huge part of why audiences never had time to connect. Sitcoms often need a season or 2 to find their rhythm. Here they barely got 6 weeks. If you stack The Big House against other short-lived sitcoms of the era, like All About the Andersons with Anthony Anderson, or One-on-One with Flex and Kyla Pratt, you can see the difference in execution. UPN and WB were building sitcoms around rising black talent and giving them room to grow. The result was a show that felt too safe for Kevin's style and too edgy for ABC's comfort zone. That was the worst of both worlds. The timing makes it even wilder. Just a few years later, Kevin would go nuclear with his stand-up specials. I'm a Grown Little Man in 2009, Seriously Funny in 2010, Laugh at My Pain in 2011. Those specials showed the world exactly what The Big House didn't. Kevin could tell stories, clown on himself, and dominate a stage with his manic energy. That makes this sitcom feel like an alternate timeline where Hollywood tried to tame him before he figured out his true formula. Thank God it didn't work, because otherwise we might never have gotten the Kevin Hart who sells out arenas worldwide. From a legacy standpoint, The Big House is less about failure and more about lessons learned. It taught Kevin that maybe sitcom land wasn't his lane. It taught ABC to stop trying to recycle Fresh Prince without the freshness. It taught the cast that even good talent can't save weak writing. But it also gave Kevin a platform, however small, to get experience in front of a network camera. He tested his chops and learned firsthand how unforgiving the industry can be when a show doesn't click immediately. Culturally, The Big House is an interesting snapshot. The early 2000s were a graveyard for sitcoms that tried to force old formulas onto new faces. Many got buried quickly. But when you look back now, they're fun artifacts of the era. They prove that TV was in transition, moving from multicam sitcoms to single-cam, mockumentary, and edgier styles like The Office, Arrested Development, and 30 Rock. In that sense, The Big House feels like one of the last gasps of the old-school format trying to reinvent itself with new talent. When you break it all the way down, The Big House wasn't a total disaster. It's not an embarrassing stain on Kevin Hart's career. It was just a misfit. Wrong time, wrong network, wrong execution. In a weird way, its failure helped shape Kevin's future. If it had worked, maybe he gets stuck doing network sitcom seasons for years. Maybe his stand-up career doesn't explode the way it did. Maybe he never becomes the global movie star he is today. In hindsight, this flop was one of the best things that could have happened to him. It pushed him back toward the lane that made him unstoppable. This is why The Big House deserves to be remembered. Not because it was great, but because it is a perfect example of how failure can fuel greatness. A 6-episode sitcom played a small but crucial role in building one of the biggest comedy empires of our generation. Even the funniest people in the world sometimes need to stumble before they soar.